Happy Wednesday, everyone. Just a quick reminder that tomorrow is the last day of the third quarter, Thursday, April 9th. If you have any missing work, please get it into me by 3 p.m. Thursday, April 9th. That way I can give you credit. If it's after that point, I'm not really going to be able to, add those to your grade. If you submit something on assignments, just send me a quick email. That way I know to look. Teams doesn't tell me when somebody submitted something. So just reminders about that, and reach out if you have questions. I check my email frequently. I want to help you, but I don't know that you're having problems unless you tell me. As far as grades are concerned, quarter three has already been done, basically up to and including the outline for the essay are all part of quarter three. The actual essay itself and the activity that we do today will be your first grades of fourth quarter. Next week, we do have spring break. So Friday through that other Friday that follows, there will be no assignments, no activities. You won't see my face, no Zoom conferences, no nothing. So hopefully you enjoy spring break. But I do encourage you to try and get today's activity done before spring break. That way I will more easily be able to help you, just because I check my email frequently, but during spring break, I'm only going to limit it to maybe 2 or 3 times a day, not how I constantly am checking to make sure that you guys don't need help. So let's get to what we're doing today. We are starting First Amendment rights today. I'm going to walk you through a PowerPoint, and then I'm going to show you what you're going to be working on. So let's get that set up. Oh, there we go. All right, so your First Amendment, it says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. The First Amendment gives you 4 rights that it just outlined. The first is freedom of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, meaning the government can't tell you what religion to be, nor can they prevent you from practicing your religion, okay? The second right that this gives you is freedom of speech or of the press. So anything you say or anything that's written is protected within reason. We are going to be learning the next couple activities how this can be restricted. It can be. There are ways that are not protected under First Amendment, okay? The third is to peaceably assemble, which that basically means that you are allowed to gather, although I guess not frequently. We're already seeing one example of how this may be restricted. But in general, normal times, you are allowed to assemble and meet up with other people. And then the last right that it gives you is to petition the government for redress of grievances. If your government doesn't do something that you like or you think that they're doing wrong, you have the ability to petition the government and ask them to change it or speak out against the government. All right, benefits of the freedom of expression, okay? Rights help citizens. I'm sure you are already aware of that. Responsibilities, they help society. So a right might be your right to your First Amendment rights, but a responsibility is in return, you are supposed to vote. That is one of your responsibilities. How does it benefit society for citizens to have rights? Well, that's what we're going to be looking, particularly of freedom of speech, okay? So the first thing is positive social change. Freedom of speech allows citizens to create positive changes in their society. Without freedom of speech, citizens have limited peaceful means to create and change society. So even though our civic action projects were cut off, that is a perfect example. You guys picked out something that you didn't like or thought could be changed to be improved. You created a proposal and you were going to try to create some change, okay? And that's something that is a benefit of the freedom of speech. The second is to promote individual growth and human dignity. Humans are most productive when they are treated well. And you guys know this firsthand. You work harder and do a better job in classes you like versus classes you dislike. And why? Because it's human nature. In those classes you feel heard. In those classes that you think that people take into consideration your concerns that you voiced, you are going to work harder for. So that is definitely a benefit of freedom of speech. It also helps advance knowledge. Humans are most creative and inventive when they are not restricted or censored. If you're not worried about taking risks, you are more likely to. And you guys know the greater the risk, the greater the reward. So it is something that if you speak out and try something, you might be able to find something that you wouldn't be in a scenario where you couldn't speak out for fear. All right, sorry about that. I apologize. I got an email in the middle of this and it disrupts the recording. All right, so it is a necessary part of a representative government. Freedom of speech is something that is needed in order to have a democracy. If you don't have the right to say who you want, then chances are you're not really in a democracy. Okay, and there's some examples for this. So like, for example, in 2017, 99% of the people in Belarus reported that they believe they could not change or influence their government. Um, this is important because they don't have democratic rights and rules. Um, oh, sorry, I have to do that. And that's kind of amazing that only 1% of the people think that they can change their government. When you contrast it from the United States, in this case, I believe this was also 2017, it looked at the proportion of adults who did each of the following in the last 12 months, and it was saw from signing a petition all the way to organizing a protest, or volunteering as a political party or candidate, or creating political rally or speech. And about 63% of individuals had at least participated in government in some way. So that's a huge difference than the 1% of people in Belarus. So it is really important for democracy. All right. Next, the essential for the protection of individual rights. Again, if you can't speak out against government abuses, then you have a lot of governments abusing people. So those are the benefits. Now we're going to be starting to look at today some of the court cases that have been established that basically tell you how your freedom of speech is protected and when it's not, when you can't say whatever you want, because there are certainly circumstances that prevent you from actually doing saying whatever you want. All right, so before we do that, I do want to walk you through some vocabulary. This will also be on assignments that you can see and refer back to it. So civil liberties, they're freedoms and rights guaranteed by laws in society. Your civil rights are those freedoms and rights that are important to people's lives. Here we get into more specific freedom of speech rights, particularly of press. So one of those is defamation, which is any false expression that damages a person's reputation. Again, you can't say whatever you want. If you are purposefully saying a lie for the sole purpose of destroying somebody's reputation, that is illegal. We call that defamation. There are two types of defamation. Okay, the first is libel. That is when defamation is written in written form. So that would be a newspaper article posing that somebody did something wrong in written format that they know. It's really hard to accuse somebody of libel because you have to be able to prove that they know it's wrong and that they're doing it purposely to damage that person. When it's spoken, that would be slander. Symbolic speech is another type of the freedom of expression. And that's basically when it's conduct, anything that you can do that's intended to express an idea. So flag burning, or you're going to be reading about a court case today called Tinker versus Des Moines, which discusses students who wore black armbands in protest of the Vietnam War. Okay, and that would be an example of symbolic speech. Shield law. Okay, so reporters are protected from giving up their sources. In order to protect what people say, the media does not have to tell you who said it. Executive privilege, this deals more with the presidency and their ability to withhold information, which we consider part of freedom of speech. So if there's something that the president said or did, they don't have to tell the public what happened if they can prove that it would hurt the American people and jeopardize national security. Okay. Then there's commercial speech, that speech intended to advertise a product. States may restrict time, place, and manner of this speech, as well as prohibit misleading or false advertising. You are not allowed to advertise something and prove this product is going to do something for you if it doesn't actually do that. You see that a lot in makeup advertisements. that like companies get in trouble because they use touched up photos on like products that they don't actually do what they say they do. And you're not supposed to do that. So that is another restriction on commercial speech. There's also prior restraint, and that's censorship before publication. It's really only possible during wartime. That is one of the restrictions of freedom of speech. Or if violence, what you're saying could incite violence. So if you're going to post something or air something, it can be censored if it's going to do one of those two things, right? Um, you're not allowed to incite violence against others. So that's your freedom of expression. All right, so for today's assignment, obviously you've already spent 10 minutes with this, so you're going to actually just be doing the first part of this activity. We'll only have to look at 4 court cases. So if you open up the assignment, it will look like this. There's the 4 court cases. You're going to be reading about Schenck versus United States, New York Times versus Sullivan, Tinker versus Des Moines, and New York Times versus US. Let's move that over. The first thing you're going to do is tell me the facts of the case. What are the basic, what happened? Why is there a lawsuit? Next is key arguments. What is each side arguing? Next is the legal question. This has to do with something in the First Amendment. So, for example, you're going to be reading a little bit about Schenck versus United States, right? And that is something that deals with wartime. The legal question, just for example, with this is, can you say whatever you want during wartime? Is your First Amendment rights protected? So the legal question is always going to relate back to First Amendment protections. It might be a particular point in the First Amendment. All of these today deal with freedom of speech. Then finally, the decision. Some of the readings have multiple court decisions. I only care about the United States Supreme Court decision. So basically who won and why. And then this last one is the key vocabulary, which that was part of what I was telling you about already. So for example, we talked a little bit about Tinker versus Des Moines. Symbolic speech would be an example of key vocabulary that you could assign to this case. This really would be looking at defamation, libel, slander, all of that. So not every single one will have a vocabulary, but you get the idea. If you, of course, hold on one second while I get this straightened out. Oops, sorry about that. All right, so I got it to unfreeze. So that was the graphic organizer. That's the one that you're actually going to type in, and you'll do that for those 4 court cases. The document underneath that is a PDF of all the court cases. There are more court cases here than there are in your actual chart. That's because we have not yet gotten to those others, and I thought it was too much to ask you to do all of the court cases today. So they go pretty much in order. You see Schenck versus United States, that's 2 pages. New York Times versus Sullivan. Then you have Tinker versus Des Moines, and the last one, New York Times versus United States. So it is the first 4, which they're 2 pages apiece, documents. You don't have to go any further than that. You will get to it eventually, but again, I didn't want to overload you on court cases beforehand. And then finally, that last document is just a reminder of the vocabulary. That way you can know what ones to go after for that vocabulary section. Okay. So, not my night tonight or day today. You should be all set here. If you have any questions, please reach out. I'm happy to help. Okay. Good luck. Enjoy your spring break.